Testing, testing. Can you hear me now? Testing, testing, testing. Can you hear me now? Testing, testing, testing. Testing, testing, testing. Can you hear me now? Testing, testing, testing. You got to be kidding. Testing, testing, testing. Can you hear me now? Oh, wow. Testing, testing, testing. Testing, testing, testing. Testing, testing, testing. Hello, everybody.
Hello, everybody. Hi, this is Susan.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. Look like we have 5 people. Wait a minute. I have some. Okay. We have Tammy, Susan, Susan Anderson. We have another caller unidentified. Okay. We're going to go ahead and get everything set up so everybody can see the screen, right? You should be looking at a with like a Lego building set with some layouts on it?
Yes.
Okay, good. All right, the chat is set up. Do is save the questions to the end. But if it's something that's really pressing and you want to, you hit me with the chat so I know that you want to chime in, and then I'll come to you. That way we can keep a pretty steady and consistent flow. Look at it. It's 52 at about. Conference, and then we'll move forward. It took a little while to get the sound set up, but I think I got that straight, so I think we'll be okay. I'm going to grab me a bottle of water real quick. I'll be right back. Hold on.
Okay.
Here we go. Yeah, to give you guys a little bit if you any of my work, one thing that you'll know about me is that I try to be as authentic and transparent as possible. Live webinars, because what it does is it puts me in a situation where I'm there. You're going to see me. I make it to success. My old mentor, who took me on when I was about 21 years old and taught me the business side of things, would always tell me forward. And what he meant by that is just simply, I set my goals and I go after them. So even when I fail, I may set a goal for $1,000, and I'm just giving a number here. I may set a goal for $1,000, and I may hit $700. I didn't hit the goal in the time frame that I wanted, but I'm $700 ahead of where I started, and then I'll get back up tomorrow, and I'll go get the other $300. And so I always get there, maybe not in the time frame I set, because I set pretty lofty goals. I don't believe in tamed visions. I don't believe in dwarfed goals or colorless dreams. I don't believe in it. I believe that we were meant to soar. We were meant to live life at the level of our design, and I believe in an infinite intelligence. I believe in a grand designer. I believe that we were designed for purpose. I believe every person has a purpose. Every person has a gift and a genius in their design. So I go out and I find ways to try to help people activate those gifts, help people recover their visions, because everybody's born with one, but the world has this tendency of shrinking the dream and shrinking the imagination upon you. And what happens is, over time, if there's no one pouring into your vision, no one pouring into your dream, if you're not protecting your vision, what will happen is your vision will have become emaciated, and you will fall into that rut of life. This is where I'm at. I just want to get up, go to work. All I want to do is make sure my bills are paid. And you'll start hearing that word "just" pop up a lot in your life. I just want to do this. I just want to do that. You were never meant to think that way. Your mind is created to explore the expanses. They say that we only use 10% of our mind. Imagine what's on the other side of that 10% with that 90. And you got to think, would the Almighty create us with 100% capacity and only expect us to use 10? So that's what you have to ask yourself. And so that's what I'm about. I'm about going out and touching people, introducing them to the possibilities that are before them, and they're going to go ahead and get started right now. And then as people come on, they'll be able to catch up. And I'm hoping that everybody will participate and invest in themselves for the entire 3 days. Presentation is I'm hoping that some people will see the need, the desire to actually come work with me one-on-one. But whatever happens, you'll get something, I believe, between today and the next couple of days that will actually set the foundation from which you can launch a new life. What you see in front of you is a real simple metaphorical structure. It's something that I use to teach my clients how life sort of operates. If you look in front of you, you'll see little small items, and we'll actually get to those, and those will become large, and you'll live in the moment of each one of those little bubbles and squares and pictures. But what you see behind it is a little blueprint with Lego blocks, and those Lego blocks represent the foundations and the structures and the different edifices that will build the ultimate edifice or structure, where you have a strong foundation and you're building. You'll have moments where you may slide out to. But what I wanted to sort of display right out of the box is that it's a journey. Life is a journey, and that's what you have to be prepared for, is your journey. It's an odyssey, and it's what you make of it. And hopefully as we move forward, we'll begin to see this. One of the first things that you have to do is you have to know your why. When I start to work with people and try to, and when I first begin to work with them, one of the first things that I'll discover is a lot of people out there don't know their whys. Because they don't know their why. They don't understand what their purpose about time. That when you discover your identity, see, a lot of people are struggling from an identity crisis because a lot of people are living lives that someone else wrote for them, or someone else gave them, or someone else told them they should live. A lot of people are actually sitting out there trying to fulfill purposes that someone gave them that wasn't really truly their purpose. They're suffering from an identity crisis, and because they don't know themselves, they can't really become acquainted with the passion. I tell people all the time that once you discover your purpose, once you discover who you are and your identity, you become acquainted with who you are, and that as you become acquainted with who you are, you discover your purpose. Your purpose will literally explain your pain. Your purpose will explain all of those why me's that you've had in the past that you couldn't understand. When you become acquainted with your purpose, it will literally set you ablaze. Your purpose is that thing that will ignite your passion. And see, a lot of people are wake up every day to go to jobs they don't like, that they hate. They wake up and they do things for other people that they're not passionate about. They're functioning. You got some people out there making six figures, and everybody's looking at them and they're thinking they're successful, but deep down inside they're not operating in their purpose. They can't be passionate about what it is they're doing. Success is so much more than what's in your bank account. I don't measure success about what's in my bank account. I measure success about the impact situations than they were when I got there. Am I filling my space?
Yeah.
And that's so important. To know your why. You got to start to ask yourself some questions to get to know your why. because of your children, your family, your loved ones. You want to be in a position to provide them with some things, a sense of purpose, a sense of self, something that you can show them how to do it. You can be the model that you just feel like you're not serving, that desire, that need to do something. Powerful that people come along 50 years after you've left the place and they know you were here. Is it for financial security? That, you know, like I say, to lay that foundation. One of the on which they can launch their desires, their dreams, where they don't have to start where I started from square one. Whatever it is, you've got to know your why, because your why is what's going to help you get through those moments of difficulty. Because, see, this is life. And everything that's happening, if you're going to circumvent trials and tribulations, I'm sorry, that's not going to happen. You're going to have hard times. You're going to have moments of difficulty. You're going to have moments of frustration. You're going to have times when you look up and you can, in Murphy's Law, able to do is look at your why. When you know your why is your purpose. Stare down difficulty and push through it, because your why has you focused, and that passion that's a purpose will not let you quit. See, a lot of people are launched by emotion. They launch out after something because it feels good. They launch out after something because somebody fired them up at a motivational seminar. And they got the motivation, but they haven't connected to their why yet. And so they're out there doing it because somebody told them to do it, and they can't understand why they can't get steady footing. And until you discover who you are, until you determine your why, you're going to always get to a point where the moment is bigger than is it connected to your purpose? Your purpose is always bigger than any. Your why is always bigger, so you'll always push through it. Your purpose, like I said earlier, your purpose will with your purpose. You have something that's that you can really and truly hang on to. One of the things that I want you guys to make a list, what you see right now in front of you, right, doesn't necessarily have any particular structure, but it has to lay out an idea of what you see coming in the future, what you desire. You want to be able to. If you've got a certain number as far as the amount of money, if you got a certain type of vehicle you want to drive, that needs to be on your vision board. If you got a certain type of house you want to live in, that needs to be on your vision board. You need to be able to see your vision board every day. If you have a home office at home that you sit down and you do certain tasks in, put your vision board in there. If not, set it up in a place that you've got to look at it every day, because your vision board is what's going to be your reminder. It's got to be something you see into you. Another thing you need to do is you need to write down specifically what it is you're expecting out of life. You need to write that down and be very specific, but be succinct about it. Don't write anything real long. You want something that you can walk up to every day and read in about 30 seconds. And you want to read it in the morning when you wake up. You want to read it at night when you wake up. Before you go to bed, you want it to be the last thing you say before you go to bed. You want it to be the first thing you say when you wake up in the morning. Okay. And when you're putting your vision board up there, make sure that when you look at that board, it immediately reminds you of why you're fighting. Because this is what you're going to war, you're to take something that belongs to you. You're going to war to go out there. This is what I can tell you. No matter what's happened in the past, no matter how many times you've fallen down, no matter how many times you've tried to start a business and it did not work, those experiences to be where you are today. Today is the beginning of a new day, and this is what I can tell you. Inside of you. Your design is that thing that's a part of who you are. When you look at your design, maybe you're a person that's good with numbers. You can just automatically crunch numbers. Maybe you're good with communication. You know how to talk to people. People are able to take it and put it to use. Maybe you're that kind of person that knows how to walk into a room and touch the lives of the people in that room. Whatever it is, there's a gift inside of you. The Creator gave you that gift as a part of your purpose. He was preparing you and equipping you to go out and do something exceptional and extraordinary. And willing to tolerate average rather than take the risk and step out. What I can this. There are only two positions in life. When you really look at the ultimate perspective, and you're talking about how you're going to perform in life, what you're going to accomplish in life, what you will be able to do, it's real simple. So take the rules that come with it, but you're also going to reward come from. It's either risk or regret. You can stand greatness. You don't accomplish exceptional. You don't accomplish phenomenal standing back in the shadows of comfort. Yes, I got this job, and if I just go to work every day, I'll pay my bills. If I just go to work every day, and it sounds safe, but what do they decide that you need to scale back? Of the last decade, 2000 through 2006, I owned an international relocation business where I handled the expatriation and the repatriation of high-level executives for companies like Unical, EDS, Flora Daniel, Dresser Clark Industries, Enron. As a matter of fact, I handled all of the repatriation of Enron employees when Enron collapsed. And so I got to see what someone's life was like when they thought they were living and they had their whole life set in front of them because they were living safe. They were showing up to work every day. They were investing in their 401k. They had it all lined up. I had a woman I brought back who was the executive assistant to one of the vice presidents in London. When I brought her back, she had spent 30 years with Enron. She had invested in her 401k to the point where she was expecting to have $1 million to live off, and she came home broke. Because she over-invested in stock in her own company, and those numbers were inflated, they were wrong, and when the company collapsed, everything she had bet on collapsed with it. She was investing in helping someone else build their dream. She was playing it safe. And she invested her entire life in someone else, and it folded on her. The thing is, if you want something, you're going to have to be willing to go out and take risks. You're going to have to go out and get it. What I can tell you is, as a risk taker, I've had moments where I've fallen flat on my back. And like Les Brown says, Les Brown is one of the people I admire when it comes to public speaking because he's authentic, because he's passionate, because he speaks from the heart. And one thing that Les Brown says all the time is, when you see that you're falling, when you start to fall, if you can just fall on your back you'll be okay. Because if you land on your back, you can look up. And if you can look up, you can get up. I can tell you now that I've gotten up more than once. I refuse to stay down. I'm not here to promise you that you're never going to fall, that there's never going to be any difficult moments, that you're never going to have those moments in which you look and you see, like I said, Murphy's Law is just in full force. Anything that can go wrong is going wrong. That happens. You cannot control external circumstances in your life. That's not how you win. How you win is to develop a confidence in your design that the grand creator designed you to be equipped and ready for the battle, to be equipped to be able to push through the moment. That's how you win. You look at the moment and you develop a confidence. And see, the wonderful thing about confidence is confidence emits a positive energy. Confidence emits an energy that moves out into the universe and begins to move the universe on your behalf. There's an understanding within the universe. See, the Creator designed the universe to respond to your faith. Your faith is actually energy that operates two ways. When you truly believe in yourself, see, that's the problem with a lot of people that talk about faith, that have a faith based in belief in God, however you see God or whatever. When you have that faith base, the problem is, while almost everybody that's a part of any particular faith base will believe in the divine, believe in God, the problem isn't that they don't believe in God, but you also have to believe in yourself. Why? Because God designed you, gave you a gift, gave you a specific design, prepared you for a specific battle, and placed you in a specific time and era to perform a certain specific duty. So you are equipped. But if you don't have confidence in yourself, you will never step out and go off into that war and carry out your purpose. You will continuously look back at God and ask him to do the work for you. As long as you're asking God to do the work for you, you're not operating within the construct of your design and your purpose. You have to have confidence in yourself. When you have confidence in yourself, you'll stop praying to God and asking him to deliver you from the giants he sent you to slay. That's what this is about, going out into the world and living the life that was given to you to live by the divine creator, to go out and attack the world to accomplish what you were sent to do. You were sent to make somebody's life better. You were sent to encourage and inspire. You were sent to walk into people's worlds and touch. Everything that comes to you because you planted seeds. You are sowing every day. If you're not impacting the world around you, if you're not impacting the people you're in contact, the people in your periphery, you're not living in your purpose. If you've got your money ahead of your priority to touch lives, you're out of line. If you've got your house in front of that, those things come back to you because you're planting seeds and you're pouring into people's lives. Your first goal is to live your purpose of making the world better by being the biggest and the most powerful you that you can be. That's how you do it. You have to be willing to step outside of your comfort zone and do the exceptional. Here we are again, this purpose thing, knowing your purpose, knowing your why. What are you committed to? What do you stand for? What do you want to be? What do you want to create for you in your life? When you know your why, or put it another way, when you know your purpose, everything in front of you that your mind can conceive is possible. There is nothing. God did not design you with a mind that could conceive things that you could not have. If you can conceive it in your mind, it's possible. I tell people all the time, you're interpreting impossible the wrong way. When you interpret impossible, the way I look at impossible, when impossible comes and stands in front of me, that thing what everyone else looks at and says it can't be done, I look at it and say that the only way that it can't be done is if that I accept what they're saying and accept that it can't be done. The moment that I decide that it stops being impossible and it becomes a challenge. Now, I can engage a challenge. I can overcome a challenge. That's how you engage impossible, by looking at it and determining that it's not impossible, that it's simply a challenge in life. us engage and overcome. But you got to understand who you are. You got to understand your why. If you don't understand your why, you can't even launch this new life that I'm talking about. The new life starts with why. Once you determine your why, the first thing you have to do, after you determine why, you're looking at all these things that you want. The first thing that you've got to do is raise your standards. You got to get started. You got to raise your standards. What do you mean? If you want to get more out of life than you have been getting, then you are going to have to raise your standards. You see, a lot of people think that you go out in life and you get what you want. No, you don't get what you want. You get what you are. So if you want great, you've got to become great. And you become great starting with your mind and your thought processes. If you haven't engaged greatness in your mind, if you haven't changed your thought processes, if you haven't started to look at life differently and start, one of the first things that I tell people, if you're going to change your thinking, the first thing you got to do is you got to raise your standards. And when you raise your standards, you start to tell yourself things you're no longer going to accept from yourself. The first thing that you've got to stop accepting from yourself are the excuses that you keep giving yourself of why you haven't went out there and did what you know you're capable of doing. You don't have the funding. Get out there and start anyway. Create the momentum and the energy that will bring the funding to you. You've got to get out there. You've got to step out and take risks. You've got to start to speak things that are not as though they were. You've got to be able to envision the future. One of the people said, man, when you go, 2012 was a real rough time for me. I remember it, man. It was one of the roughest times in my life, probably the roughest time in my life. I remember, something could go wrong, it was going wrong. Everything that I thought I had was gone. Nothing was going right. I'm trying, and nothing's going right. And in the middle of all of this, while I'm looking at myself and I'm going like, man, all of this is going wrong, I get a phone call from somebody who I hold in high regard, a person that I consider to be a massive statue of faith. And this person says, every day that I observe you in your place of challenge, it inspires me to up my faith game. And I stepped back and I looked, and what they told me was, I'm watching you, and you got every reason to get up, but every day you wake up and you got this smile on your face, and you're going and you're pushing. And I tell you, that was a time in that point where it was so bad that I thought that, man, I started getting afraid because it was hitting me one thing after another so hard. I started getting afraid, and I started to kind of step back and lose my vision for a minute. And I started thinking, man, I'm afraid one day I'm going to wake up and I'm not going to know who I am. I was literally afraid that I was going to lose my mind. But in that moment, I remembered my why. And I stood up, and when I started to communicate with God, I wasn't begging him to take me out of it. I wasn't begging him to deliver me through it. I told him, you built me for this. When you gave me my design, you built me for this. You prepared me for this before I ever hit this earth. I'm built for this. I'm not asking you to take me out because I have been around long enough to understand that if you're allowing me to go through it, it's developing something in me. It's developing character. It's developing integrity. It's developing fortitude. It's developing endurance. If I'm in it, it's developing something in me. So I'm not asking you to take me out. All I ask is don't let me die in it. Wake me up long enough. If you wake me up, I'll answer the bell. Every morning you wake me up, I'm going to answer the bell. I might not know what I'm going to do that day, but I'm going to wake up and answer the bell, and I'm going to go out and I'm going to go get it. I'm going to rebuild my life. That was in 2012. Here I am with Visionetics 2020. Here I am with the Odyssey Media Group. Here I am with Myriad Business Solutions. Here I am doing things that people were looking at me back then and said, he's falling off. I don't think he's getting up this time. I got up. I dusted myself off. I ain't even close to going to where I'm going to get. But that's what I'm trying to get it. When you raise your, my standards wouldn't let me give myself an excuse. I could have stood up and said, nobody's standing with me. Nobody's helping me. I'm out here all alone in this situation, and nobody cares. Sometimes you're going to be there. Nobody's going to care what you're going through. In fact, there are going to be people out there wishing for your demise, hoping that you fail.
That's right.
You better shake yourself up. Look yourself in the mirror. Look at the greatness that God designed inside of you and understand that you built for the battle. Stand yourself up and most definitely hold your head up. Whatever you go through in life, the one thing you better not ever do is let your head hang. Don't let nobody see you with your head down. Hold your head. You can't avoid the storm, but you better know how to respond to it. My grandfather told me something when I was 17 years old. He said, sit down, son. I've shared a lot with you. And I hope what I shared with you, you take with you, and it helps to groom you and give you what you need. I hope that it does that. But what I need you to understand right now is what I'm giving you. If you can grasp what I'm giving you today, I promise you, you will be great. I promise you, at some point in your life, you're going to achieve greatness. He said, sons, you got 3 places you're going to be in life. You're either going to be going into a storm, in a storm, or coming out of one. That's life, son. Stop trying to avoid the storm. The storm is going to be there. You're going to be either going in one, or coming out one. Let me explain something to you. Your first inclination when you find yourself in the storm is going to be to try to find someone to point the finger at and blame for you being there. Said, let me save you some time. 9 times out of 10, it's you. Don't waste your time trying to find somebody to blame. Your number one responsibility when you find yourself in the storm is to make sure that you come out of it a better man than when you went in. If you do that, life itself will groom you for greatness. If you embrace the challenge, if you embrace the storm, if you look at the storm and stop being a volunteer victim, the storm will shape you. It will prepare you. It will give you the fortitude you need to push through walls, climb mountains, swim across rivers, everything that you're going to have to conquer in life to achieve your goals. But when you raise your standards, you're no longer accepting the excuses that you once gave yourself. You stop accepting excuses from other people. You raise your expectations for your life. I tell people all the time, you will never accomplish anything beyond what you expect. God only meets you at the level of your expectations for yourself. You can never get beyond what you expect because that's the level of your faith. Whether you're a Christian or not, whether you're a Muslim or not, whether you're a Buddhist or Hinduist, you better learn to take principles from the teaching moment. I don't shut anything down because everything has power to teach when you search for truth. What I taught myself was how to mine for truth. I mine for truth. In other words, I learned how to dig for truth. I learned how to find the things that didn't have any meaning, the dirt, the soot, the mud, and cast it aside and hold on to the jewel when I got the jewel. I found truth. And one thing I saw, when I was studying the principles of the Bible, and I'm looking at all these miracles that Christ is accomplishing in the healing and in empowering of people, that was this consistent thing that he would say. He would do something for somebody, whether it was a woman with the issues of blood, whether it was the blind man, no matter who it was, he would do something. When he would do something, he would say, according to your faith, you have been made whole. According to your faith, you have been healed. According to your expectations for yourself. You got to believe yourself that something great is going to happen in your life, or you will sit there and wallow in mediocrity. You've got to trust your design. Let's talk about raising standards. That's one thing that Tony Robbins talks about all the time when he's speaking. He said, let's look at what Tony says. Tony says, anytime you sincerely want to make a change in your life, the first thing you must do is to raise your standards. When people ask me what really changed my life 8 years ago, I tell them absolutely the most important thing was changing what I demanded of myself. I wrote down all the things I would no longer accept in my life, all the things I would no longer tolerate, and I also wrote down all the things I aspired to become. I'm setting new standards. You can only get what you want. I'm going to tell you something else while we're talking about setting standards. I want you to really, really, really hear me now. I want you to really, really, really hear me now. I've seen people, see, you got the grind, which is the hustle. That's the first mindset you got to have. You got to be a person that's grinding on TP. You got to wake up in the morning and go after it. Not because there's something for you got some people that's grinding because they want that new Escalade or that new Range Rover or that new Benz. You got somebody that's grinding because they want those new Jordans. You got somebody that's grinding because they want that crib. And see, what happens is they get to something and they become complacent because they were grinding to reach a mark. You got to develop a mindset that you are grinding because that's simply who you are. You don't know how to turn it off. You wake up every morning and you're grinding on general principles. You're grinding because that's who you can't sit still. You know, baby, tell me, like, I'm dealing with some physical issues, medical issues that I'm dealing with, and I'm supposed to be resting. And she'll look at me and say, "You're supposed to be resting," and she'll give me that look. I don't know how. I don't know how to get somewhere and be still so my body can heal. All I know is that if I'm up, there's something out there that I can conquer. If I can't conquer it with my physicality, I can definitely conquer it with my mentality. There's something I can build with my mind that I might not be able to build with my hands right now. I refuse to sit around idle when there's something I can be doing. I'm built to grind. How I got off of my back in 2012, I woke up every morning and I grind. I grinded until I got to the point to where I passed out. And as soon as I woke up again, I'm back at it. There was some mornings I was up at 3 o'clock, going to bed at 11 p.m., up at 1 o'clock, 3 o'clock, grinding. I said to myself, I don't know how long I can do this before my body forsakes me, but I'm taking it to the break because I'm not going to spend my life where I'm at right now. I'm not going to sit right here in the bottom. I'm not going to live my life here. This is not for me. I don't belong here, and I will not accept it as my lot in life. And I got up and I went after it. That's where you've got to be. You've got to make up in your mind. But I'm going to tell you why some people grind and still don't get it. They got the plan. They went to so-and-so's seminar, so-and-so's workshop. They got that 10-point plan, that 12-point plan, that 25-point plan, and they're working it. They're up every day working it, and they can't understand why their grind isn't paying off. Let me explain something to you. Get 1 second. Let me explain something to you. The way that life is, the way that the universe is created, is that everything is spiritual. While you live in the third dimension, which is the physical world that you can run out there and touch every day, the car you can touch, the house you can touch, the money you can touch, the people you can touch, that's the third dimension. But that's only one of 5 dimensions. You also operate in the 4th and 5th dimension, which are both spiritual dimensions. You are a spiritual being first. Your energy that you emit is spiritual first. So what actually happens is you operate spiritually. You manifest things, first of all, in your mind. You conceive it in your mind. And the moment you conceive it and the moment you believe what you have conceptualized in your mind, you manifest that in the 4th and the 5th dimension. So you manifest it spiritually before it ever manifests physically. It may manifest spiritually, and it may take 2, 3, 10 years to manifest physically. A lot of people don't have the grind and the discipline and the patience to wait for the manifestation. A lot of people don't have the desire to get through. Another reason, because of life being set up on a spiritual sphere, is that the energy you emit dictates what comes back to you. So what if you're grinding, but you're not grinding based on your values? In other words, what if you go to this guru and they give you a 12-step program on how to save your marriage? And it says, instead of going out with your boys every other night for happy hour, you need to spend those nights with your wife. But you have a mindset that says you work hard and you deserve to hang out with your boys every other night. You might be going home to your wife, or if it's your husband, you're going home to your husband and you're not hanging out with your girls or your boys. But guess what? Because you believe because your value system tells you, because you work hard every day, you should be able to have a time with your homeboys or your homegirls. You're at home, but you're home begrudging. You're home because that's what he told you to do, not because that's what you want to do. So guess what? The energy you're emitting is begrudging. It's not positive. It's negative. You can't emit negative energy and produce positive results. That's why when, if you look, again, I'm not here to tell you what to believe in. I'm here to use something that most people understand. That's why when you go to Paul and he's teaching the church in Corinth how to give, he's not even talking about tithing. Why? Because he understands the nature and the spirit behind it, the force. He tells them when you give, you should give as your heart purposes for you to give. Not out of compulsion, not out of necessity, not begrudgingly. God loves a cheerful giver. What he's saying, when you give from your heart, you give from that place that desires to give. You give what your heart wants you to give. And what happens when you put out something that you are giving from your heart, it goes out with positive energy. That's a seed planted. It can't help but come back to you in positive energy. It may not come back in money, but it may come back as somebody said, hey, look, I saw that you needed new tires, so I paid for you to have new tires on your car. Just go to da-da-da-da, and they're going to put it on. However it comes back because you did it positively. So that's the same principle when you're out there trying to use 10-point systems and 12-point systems and you don't know why it's working. You started to work, but you didn't change your thinking. That's why your thinking has to be the first thing that you change. You got to make some adjustments to your thought processes. You got to take the selfishness out of yourself. You got to stop thinking about self first. As long as you're thinking about self first, you're never going to produce the results that you're looking for in life, because life isn't about being selfish. Life is about pouring into others and lifting them up and building them up, giving them something to feel good about, giving them something to look forward to, empowering them to go into life and do something great. You build off of what you give. And as long as you don't understand that, you're going to be stuck. As long as you're not investing not only in yourself, but investing in others, you're going to find yourself stuck. Write down all the things that you will no longer accept. Write those things down. That's something. Take notes of it. You don't have to write them all down now. We're moving on. We're about to wrap it up. We're about to wrap up the first evening. But write down all the things that you're no longer accept. At the top of the list has got to be excuses. You're no longer going to accept excuses. I'm telling you, there's always going to be excuse. I don't have time. I got to work. I got school. I got this. What about the children? What about my husband? Let me tell you something. There's always going to be something in the way. There is no perfect time to start living your vision. There is no perfect timing to start walking in your goal. You got to create the perfect moment. You got to create that time that you go out there and do it. You got to prioritize your life based on your vision. You got to prioritize your life based on your dreams. You got to determine within yourself what's important to you, or you'll always have something that's snatching your time. There's so many things out there robbing you of your precious time because you've given it priority over your purpose. Because you've given it priority over your purpose, it's robbing you of your destiny. After you write down the things you're no longer willing to accept in life, the things you're no longer willing to tolerate from yourself and others, then write down all the things you aspire to become. Make a list of the things you're expecting out of yourself. That's when you raise your standard. I'm going to get up every morning. I'm going to tell you something that I'm having to remind myself of right now. Where I'm at right now physically is because I've lost sight of this. And I didn't realize, let me tell you something, your existence in this world is holistic. Very rarely do we live our lives holistically. We tend to focus on one thing. Some of us are very highly engaged spiritually. Some of us are highly engaged mentally. Some of us are in the best shape physically that you can imagine. But very rarely are we holistically put together. You are a being that's spiritual. You are a being that's emotional. You are a being that's intellectual. You are a being that's physical and spiritual. And when you don't operate holistically, you're out of balance. And when you're out of balance, the part of you that's strong tries to cover and compensate for the weakness. And over time, you're going to break that. You're going to wear it out. And this is what I'm telling you now. One thing that you've got to do, I don't care who you are or where you're at right now, is you've got to understand this. Your body is a temple. Honor it. When you fail to honor the temple, all other elements break down. Honor it. If you're not in some type of fitness program, get into a program. If you don't know what to do, you can visit my site, masterfitness21.xyz, and sign up, and we'll set you up with a program. It don't have to be my site, but you've got to start taking care of your body. You've got to honor your temple, because what I'm going to tell you is when you get focused and you start to grinding and you have this demand that you're putting on yourself, that demand you put on your body can only perform at the way that you prepared it. It can't just all of a sudden say, I'm going to do it. You'll push it and it'll break down on you. You've got to start eating right. You've got to start training your body physically in the gym. You've got to go to the track. You've got to look at what you're eating. You've got to get those things out of your diet that are destroying you and shortening your life. You've got a purpose here. Don't take away moments and time away from you performing that by not taking care of that. I have to share that with you. Make sure that you're taking care of your temple. But after you've written down everything that you aspire to become, place that list somewhere where you can read it every day. Remind yourself of it often. Don't sit there and lose sight of who you are and what you're becoming. One more right. Raise your standards and the universe will meet you there. I cannot stress enough the importance of understanding how the universe is set up. It has been proven through scientific tests that not only humans emit energy, but the earth itself emits energy, and the outward expanses of the universe emit energy. Not only does each of these entities emit energy, they can receive and detect energy, and they respond to the energy they detect. In other words, the earth is responding to the different wavelengths. The thing is this. When you emit energy, you either emitting on a low frequency and low vibration, which is negative energy, which is energy that's not connected to high expectations, energy that is on a low frequency. When you emit that energy, you can only get from that which you're emitting. When you raise your frequency, when you start to operate on a higher frequency in your higher vibration, the universe responds to you. God created the universe. Let me explain it to you this way. God created the universe to respond to your faith, what you believe about yourself, what you believe about your life, what you believe you can accomplish. He designed it to create. So when you step out, this is what happens. When you truly become acquainted with who you are, that's that why thing we talked about at the beginning of this event. When you talk, when you meet that when you get to that point where you're literally living in that situation where you know who you are now, and you start to look at what it is that you want. Once your desires become so strong that they're pushing you and you are moving toward them, the universe begins to conspire on your behalf to bring it to you. As you move toward it, the universe is bringing it to you. The universe surrenders to you what your expectations demand. That's how the world operates. That's it. I mean, if you a couple of books that I definitely recommend is The Alchemist, Think and Grow Rich, and another one is The Science of Getting Rich. All of those books talk about the same thing, how faith operates. In The Science of Getting Rich, the author calls it a substance, but he's talking about faith. He's talking about how this substance operates. And another thing that I want you to take when you start to operate, one of the biggest lies in the world is that the concept of the idea of lack. Everybody is convinced that the world is full of lack. There's only so much money. There are only so many resources. That's a lie. God designed a universe of abundance. God designed the universe to hold abundance for each person. In other words, there are things in abundance out there that has my name on it that I can only claim, that I'm the only one that can claim. I don't have to take somebody else's wealth in order to become wealthy. I don't have to take somebody else's happiness in order to be happy. I don't have to rob somebody of their joy in order to be fulfilled. I have enough of that out there designed and held in place for me in the universe when I find my center and I focus myself and I raise my expectations of who I am and what I want out of life. So don't buy into it. Learn how to activate that substance, that faith. Faith operates two ways. It puts you into action, because if you really and truly believe at the level of activating faith, faith is a dynamic substance. Faith is dynamic. It's not static. It doesn't just sit still. Faith moves. So when you have true faith in your purpose, when you have true faith in your destiny, you don't sit still. It automatically makes you get up and move. But check this out. At the very time you start to believe that what you're moving towards is actually yours, you're emitting energy. That energy has high frequencies, high vibrations. Why? Because it's positive, because you're believing in something. You're starting to expect something is going to happen for you. Now that energy you emit goes out and tells the universe to bring it to you. So the universe starts to conspire on your behalf to bring you what you're seeking. You're moving toward it, and the universe is bringing it to you. That's how life operates. It's that simple. God made it that way. The problem is most people will teach you about stuff. They'll tell you about faith, but they don't tell you how to activate it. They'll tell you about faith, but they don't tell you how to put it to use. They'll talk about it, but they'll give you some esoteric explanation of how it exists. And they'll tell you to sit back and accept anything that comes. Now, it may come, and I might have to engage it, but I ain't accepting it. Right. Suffering ain't my lot in life. I might have to go through it, but it ain't my lot in life. I'm going to overcome it. I'm going to beat it. I guarantee you that's who I am. That's what I have on the inside of me. Again, change your thinking. As we wrap this down, this is where we're going to end at today. Change your thinking. Okay. As a man thinks, so is he. You are what you think. You become what you think. Your thoughts shapes your belief system. It shapes your expectations. It creates your reality. How you think will determine how you perceive things. See, you got some people who are volunteer victims because that's how their mind thinks. Their paradigms are shaped that way. Everything happens to them is somebody else's fault. They refuse to take ownership for their involvement or their engagement in anything. Somebody did it to them no matter what. I can't make it because life just keeps happening to me. Let me get you straight. Life is not happening to you. Life is responding to you. Life is responding to your negative attitude. Life is responding to the fact that you're expecting bad things to happen. You've got a mindset that you're literally sitting up waiting to volunteer for the next bad thing. You are a volunteer victim. Change your thinking. Your thoughts serve to develop the paradigms through which you engage life. The lens through which you see and perceive your reality are set up by your thought process. You're going to have to train your mind to think with greatness, to see yourself being great, to have thoughts of greatness, to embrace it. Learn how to write your own story with your thoughts. That's how you begin to establish yourself with greatness. Okay, right now, we've come to this is the end. We got 3 more days of this. We're going to get off into the importance of pushing through, the importance of having staying power, the ability to push through and stay in the battle, to fight through the difficulty and how you do it. We're going to talk about that tomorrow. We're going to talk about some things that you can begin to practice. But right now what I want to do is I want to entertain any questions that anyone has while you're online that I can actually hear all you guys? Anybody out there have questions?
I don't necessarily have questions. I just know I have a lot of homework to do tonight.
Right. Like I said, this is the beginning of a process. This is not something that is going to. One thing that people show up when some people show up and they're ready to work with me. One thing that they get the idea of is that I'm gonna sit down with you, and when I get up, I'm gonna go out there and I'm gonna attack the world. You don't undo years of poor thinking in one day, in 2 days, or 3 days. These 3 days are not going to have you completely prepared to go out there and win, but it will lay a foundation to where you'll have an idea of what you need to do. You'll have enough in front of you to be able to check some of those thoughts that are coming through your mind that you want to change. You'll be able to understand when you are saying something that's actually creating a negative energy inside and you're emitting negative. Stop speaking negative things. Stop acknowledging them. Know they're there, but always acknowledge that you are bigger than your moment. Your purpose is bigger than your moment. I tell people all the time that I've trained my mind to the point of thinking that I have actually developed a mindset that feeds my spirit. Why is that important? Your spirit is the deepest existence of who you are. The body one day will be gone, but the spirit will continue to live. It is that eternal energy that will never dissipate. It's there. So when you think in your mind trains your subconscious. Your subconscious feeds your soul feeds your spirit. Now, when you get to a point to where you truly train yourself and you start to live it and you start to breathe it and you start to talk it, you start to share it, you start to protect it, you develop something so powerful in your spirit that your spirit will be able to acknowledge your circumstances but at the same time disagree with it. That's how I win. I see my circumstances. I see the negativity. I see the hardship. I see the struggle, but my spirit disagrees with it. It's not that it's not there. My spirit is saying you're bigger than that. If you just engage it, if you just go into it and engage it, you're going to win. So I go into it knowing I'm going to win. It's amazing what you can go through when you know the outcome. Mm-hmm. When you know the outcome, you can take a lot. It's when you don't know what's going to happen that you fold. If you know all I got to do is hang on and I'm going to win, you're going to hang on. That's how you become a winner. Anybody else have anything they want to share or any other questions? Okay, one thing that I want to do, encourage everybody to do, what I've done is I've created this this group. It's called the Power Team. Everybody that's joined me through Facebook, I'm creating a Power Team group. It is a membership. It's a membership. It requires a subscription of $20. But what happens with this group is you're not required to join it to participate in this event. This event is 100% free. But this group is going to be a place where people can come together. It'll be partially as a closed group on Facebook, and every week I will hold an hour-long group video conference where we'll all come together actually in video where we can look at each other, talk to each other, and we're going to share some of our struggles. We're going to share some of our aspirations. I'm going to start out with maybe a 10-minute inspirational moment. Then we're going to come in and we're going to look at where we're at. This is the place where you're going to be able to come and be safe. You're not going to have to worry about sharing your dreams and having somebody squash them before you develop the capacity to protect them. This is the place where you can show up and be the person that you want to be. You can start to live in your future. Have that vision out there. This is that moment that's completely safe. Nobody's going to judge you. Nobody's going to send any negativity your way because that's 100% unacceptable in this group. Again, it's a membership that's set up in years. It's for a year. It's $20 a year, and I'm telling you, for what you're going to get out of that, that is a steal. And the reason that I require an investment is because I won't invest in people that won't invest in themselves. And you get a bunch of people. You get a bunch of people who show up, and all they're there to do is to look and see what other people are doing. And I don't want that energy there. I want people who are looking to do something bigger and better. I want people there that may not be at a point where they are ready to work with me one-on-one. Maybe they're not there financially. Maybe they're not sure yet, but they know they see something or they're hearing something from me that can help them. And what we're going to do is every week we're going to get there. Every day we're going to be in there. You show up, talk about what you're going through, you're going to get a response that day. But once a week we're going to sit down on video conference and we're going to encourage one another. We're going to share our dreams. We're going to talk about where we are in our walk. So this is the link that you can go to right here. It's on it's on the site. If you go to rickwallacephd.link, if you click on the resources tab or I think it's courses and programs tab, and scroll down, you'll see join the power team. When you you click on that, it'll tell you what the power team is about, and there's a little box for you to pay your subscription. When you pay your subscription, I'll get a notification. I'll add you to the Facebook page, and we'll kick that off on Monday. But I encourage you to do that, be a part of that. Whether you do that or not, show back up tomorrow. We're going to go after this again, and I'm going to share some other things that I'm doing with my clients that I would love to do with you. But show back up. We want to get through this. We want to lay the foundation for you to begin this new life of empowerment. I have enjoyed working with each and every one of you. You guys have a great night. It has been awesome. And I look forward to seeing each and every one of you tomorrow.
You too. Blessings.
Right,
thank you.
Good night.
Bye. Good night.
Good night.
Where your mama went? Tell her I said come in. Upstairs. Upstairs. Thank you, sweetie. CJ there? We got a 12. Come here. How much you ever like this? Are they still open? Well, will that be applied to the $36 that you need to pay? I'm saying, with an automated payment, it might just simply apply to the balance and not apply to. That would be for somebody to read. Not an automated system. What time they open in the morning? What's the total amount you owe them?